Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we're going to talk about one of the craziest gun control laws you will find anywhere in the United States. In fact, it's so crazy, we don't have it yet here in Washington. But it is one that you will, of course, find in California and some other very, very deep blue states. And it's a very unique way that government will go about to disarm its civilians. What am I talking about? I'm talking about handgun rosters. Yeah, many of you might not even know what a handgun roster is. We're going to explain that for a second. And then once we explain it, you will see how it would be a very effective tool in the cause of civilian disarmament. But it appears that there's a couple of United States Congress people who want to do something about it, and they are sponsoring a bill, a federal piece of legislation, which would ban handgun rosters. So today, let's get you all educated and let's talk about the bill to ban handgun rosters. Okay, America, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a newly sponsored bill called the Modern Firearms Safety Act. It has yet to be assigned a bill number. It is sponsored by United States House of Representative Elise Stefanik, a Republican out of New York, as well as United States Representative Darrell Issa, a Republican out of the state of California. This bill, if enacted into legislation, would be a federal prohibition against state governments or local governments from having a handgun roster. What is a handgun roster? For those of you unfamiliar with it, and California, of course, leads the charge, as they always do when it comes to crazy pieces of civilian disarmament legislation, is a handgun roster says that a handgun cannot be sold in that state unless it has certain features. And it might be a loaded chamber indicator, it might be an external safety, and there could be many, many other things. And what they require of these firearms before they can be sold in the state are items that typically the manufacturers do not include on those items. So suddenly, where you may live in a state where, hey, the world is your oyster, you can buy whatever handgun you want. If you reside in a state of like California, you might only have 25 to 35 models from which you can select from to protect your own life. Well, the Modern Firearms Safety Act, if enacted into legislation, would absolutely positively prohibit any type of legislation from existing in any state. As a matter of fact, the legislation starts off by stating, a department, agency, or instrumentality of the United States or of any state or political subdivision of a state may not implement or enforce any provision of law or regulation that requires or has the effect of requiring or promulgate any provision of regulation that would require or have the effect of requiring a handgun that is in or has been shipped or transported in interstate or foreign commerce to, okay, so just so you understand, what the law is saying there is it would be against federal law for any state to mandate that any firearm that is transported into their state for commerce has the following. 1, incorporate a device that indicates whether the handgun is loaded. 2, incorporate a mechanism that prevents a handgun from being fired if an ammunition magazine is not fully inserted into the handgun. 3, be capable of microstamping the shell casing of ammunition with microscopic characteristics representing the make, model, and serial number of the handgun when the ammunition is fired from the handgun. Or 4, incorporate any device, mechanism, or technology that A, is designed or intended to perform any function described in the preceding provisions of this section, or B, may be readily converted to be capable of performing any such function. Oh, don't you just love it when they include that or may be readily converted to? And then finally, 5, be capable of accepting the attachment of any device or mechanism described in paragraph 4. If enacted into legislation, this would add a new section to 18 United States Code Section 927. Now, the sponsors of the bill obviously have been quite vocal. Representative Issa, obviously out there in California, is already living under the tyranny of this kind of handgun roster. And of course, Representative Stefanik comes from New York, where Kathy Hochul has been running roughshod over all of the citizens' inalienable rights. Representative Stefanik was quoted as saying, I am proud to introduce the Modern Firearms Safety Act to put a stop to the unconstitutional gun-grabbing agenda pushed on law-abiding American citizens by far-left Democrats like Kathy Hochul. My legislation would ban Albany Democrats from imposing illegal handgun roster requirements meant to deter gun ownership. I will always stand up for our Second Amendment rights and provide a critical check to any entity attempting to encroach on their liberties. Representative Issa, however, was even more outspoken, talking about the dangers of this exact type of legislation. Handgun rosters are a tactic that serves only a single purpose: to undermine the Second Amendment under the cynical pretense of firearm safety. These rosters impose excessive and unnecessary requirements that not only restrict access to modern firearms equipped with the most up-to-date safety features. I'm proud to join Chairman Stefanik in defending our sacred constitutional rights and ending these unjust restrictions. Okay, listen, we talk about great ideas on this channel a lot. We talk about crazy ideas on this channel a lot too. And then one of the things that we always like to add to the end of the video is, what is the likelihood that this might actually come to fruition? That is, what is the likelihood that this bill could actually see the light of day and be signed into law? And the answer is very simple. It will all be determined this November, won't it? Because if the Republicans could maintain control of the House and gain control of the Senate and reclaim the White House, then this piece of legislation becomes a very, very viable possibility. But if they fail to accomplish any one of those goals, yeah, this piece of legislation will not be worth the paper that it is printed on. The act, once again, is the Modern Firearms Safety Act, yet to be assigned a bill number. We'll go ahead and link it up down below, as well as a couple of the press releases, so that you guys can geek out on it for yourself. This is obviously a very, very important piece of legislation that would not only reverse some significant civilian disarmament legislation currently in existence in some states, but prevent this from occurring in other states. If you guys got any more questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you all should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. Maybe you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here. If you do, go ahead and share that idea right there by clicking on that link, because a lot of the good ideas we come up with aren't our ideas at all. Maybe you just want to be part of our monthly newsletter. The ability to sign up and subscribe to that is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, America, let's remember this, that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.